Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and the game is upon us, the massive game. Anybody who saw the little show that I did this morning, I was reminiscing about the time when we played AC Milan in the European Cup, obviously the forerunner of the Champions League, European Cup semi-final of 1969, and that's where a tie like this belongs, not only in the European Cup or Champions League, but in the latter stages of the European Cup or Champions League. On that occasion in 1969, they beat us 2-0 at the San Siro. Back at Old Trafford, United won 1-0 with a fantastic goal by Bobby Charlton that you can see on YouTube if you Google it. Just Google European Cup semi-final 1969, it'll come up and it's there to be seen. It's an unbelievable strike by Bob. He's inside the box, but what a strike. And United supposedly had the ball over the line. Dennis Law reckons he had it over the line, and lots of fans that were there said it was over, but one or two were saying you couldn't really tell. So it's gone down his history as a goal that should have been given that wasn't, and it would have taken it to extra time. But AC Milan came out on top. I'm not saying all these years later that we need revenge, but it's just a massive game, and it is a knockout tournament. It is alright, it's only the Europa League, but both clubs want to try and win a trophy, so it's a massive game really, between two absolute giants of the game. So I'm really looking forward to it. The team's out already. It's always out. Seems to be always out early. It's more than 10 minutes early by my reckoning. It's usually on the hour. It's usually bang on the hour for league games, but it's been out over 10 minutes before that. Obviously Henderson's in goal. Wan-Bissaka's at right back. When I say obviously Henderson's gone, I'm sure everybody's up to speed with that. De Gea's away in Spain with his girlfriend and his new baby. So it's Henderson in goal, it's Wan-Bissaka, it's Bailey, Maguire and Telles. I'm a little bit surprised that he's rested both Lindelof and Shaw. I really am surprised at that. It's 50% of your back four being changed is a lot, I think, and I don't think it's sensible. But Bailey and Telles are both in. In midfield, I've already had one or two people tweet me saying, and one or two people message me directly as well. It's McTominay and Matic. People saying it's your dream team. It is my dream midfield. I'll get my excuses in straight away. Your team needs to be as strong as possible. I'd love them to get a game together with actually the full strength back four and all the rest of the team strong. But it is a good team, the rest of the team. I would rather have it as the back four at full strength, but it is McTominay and Matic in midfield. I'm over the moon to see that. I really am. Bruno at number 10. And then a front three of Greenwood, Martial and Dan James. So I imagine Greenwood will be on the right and Dan James will switch to the left. He played on the right at the weekend. And Martial at number 9. I do think it's a really good side. I honestly do. What to expect from AC Milan? I'm not 100% up to speed with their team and how good they are. I know they're second in Serie A. They're 6 points behind Inter. They're obviously a good side. They've got a few injuries themselves. I know we've got a few injuries. But if we're honest, I think I'm right in saying that most of our injuries are to players who wouldn't be in the starting 11 anyway. Obviously, Pogba might be in the starting 11, but Van der Beek's injured. He might be in the starting 11 because it's a Europa League side, but he wouldn't be in the first choice starting 11. He might be in mine, but he wouldn't be in Ollie's. Juan Mata is injured as well, and obviously he wouldn't generally be in the starting 11. So I don't think we can claim we've got too many injuries that are affecting the starting 11 like AC Milan have. What's happening, mate?
Definitely has an effect on the bench, though. We've not got a lot of options on the bench today.
Yes, yeah. Ahmad's on the bench. I'm hoping he gets a bit of a run out. I'm hoping we're winning 3-0 or something and he gets a game. But
yeah.
Go on.
Bishop, Grant, Lindelof, Shaw, Twanzebe, Williams. So we've got two goalies.
Two goalies
and 4 defenders on the bench. And then Fred, Ahmad and Shaw Tyre.
Yeah,
so you've not got a lot of choice.
Yeah, struggling a little bit in the forward ranks.
Yeah, for sure.
Ahmad does look the part of what I've seen of him. I'd like him to get a little bit of a run, but I don't think they'll even bring him on unless it's looking like we're doing well. And even at that, with an away leg to come, even if we say 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, I don't see him weakening the team too much with a second leg to come. It'd be all right if it was if it was the final leg. But I think we're going to need to be winning 3 or 4 before he brings any of the youngsters on, which might not happen. Probably won't happen.
Paul Harrowin says, do you think Greenwood is a better striker than right winger right now?
Probably just about, I would say.
I would say if he was to maybe play in a 4-4-2, yes, but playing that lone striker role, he's not strong enough to hold it up, is it?
It's an hard job.
You've seen Cavani struggle with it.
Cavani doesn't do it great for us. You know, I see a lot of people banging on. We need Cavani in the team, and he is a live wire in the box. But his hold up play's not quite what we need. I'm going to say it's not quite good enough, but he's obviously one of the top strikers in Europe. But to me, it's as plain as a nose on your face that when it comes to getting hold of that ball and helping the team get up the field, Martial's way better than Cavani. Way better. So Greenwood, yeah, I agree with you. He hasn't really got that. But as a pair, if you were playing in 4-4-2, he might get more chances. And he's obviously a finisher. He can obviously hit it well. And so maybe he'd be all right in that respect. But in this format, the way we play. To play him as a central striker, really, you're competing for Bruno's position, aren't you? That's how we are set up, because we're playing with two wide. They might be forwards, but they've got to get back.
Yes.
So James is going to play on one wing, Greenwood on the other. Let's just say Rashford was fit, say James was on one wing and Rashford on the other. If you wanted to play Greenwood in the middle, he'd be competing for Bruno's spot more so than for Martial's spot. Somebody that can come onto them balls and hit them balls.
Yeah.
Whereas playing with his back to goal like Martial does, he's not quite good enough, I don't think. Well, maybe, look, so it's all right saying he will be one day. I hope he is. But there's no guarantees.
No.
You can't just say, bang, he's going to get that.
Yes.
He's going to be able to bring it into his game. There's no guarantees. Hopefully he will. But, at the minute...
Yeah.
At the minute, if he was our main striker all the time, I think we'd be struggling a lot worse than we are.
Yeah. In a 4-4-2, it's similar to, I drew this comparison with you the other day, didn't I, about like Heskey and Owen, and maybe Keane and Defoe, that Spurs, that type of partnership.
Yeah.
And Greenwood needs to go and play that Defoe role.
So he's playing off somebody.
Yeah, and Martial needs to be the
the
Heskey
target.
or the Keane, the one who's linking
He'd
the
get
play.
goals.
Yeah.
Playing next to Martial in a 4-4-2, you could guarantee he would get goals.
Yeah.
Like Jermaine Defoe would if he was... And don't make the mistake of thinking that what I'm suggesting is that Martial's going to make loads of chances for him. It's not like that. Who did I hear say this about? I can't remember who said it now, but some top pro or top pundit said it about when we had Berbatov. Did we have Michael Owen along at the same time as Berbatov? And somebody said, just put any decent striker, any decent finisher alongside Berbatov and he'll get goals. He doesn't have to be making the goals. It's about his passing being intelligent, putting people into good positions who then get the ball into that striker. Obviously, sometimes he'll thread balls through, but Martial is the same. He'll thread the odd ball through and make the odd chance, but it's about the team playing better when he's playing. So if we were playing 4-4-2 and Martial and Greenwood were the top two, Greenwood would get plenty of chances, and not many of them would necessarily be directly made by Anthony Martial.
It's far too simplistic to think that just because you play that role that you will get the direct assist.
It's
not about that. You're a foil, aren't you, for your team to
that.
play off and to build your play off. You've got to use that target person to help probe and then progress. It's a territory game, isn't it? We're trying to make territory.
You're gaining territory. Yeah, exactly that.
There's a couple of people asked about Berbatov actually in a questions here. The most recent one, sorry if I didn't get around to yours, but Dylan Henger said, afternoon Rick and assistant, hope you have a good day. What were your thoughts on Berbatov?
Absolutely loved him with a passion. I can't tell you how much I loved him. Yeah, I thought he got I thought he got a raw deal. He should have been played more. We spoke about it before, we won't get into it, but he should have been played in the Champions League final. And I'm fed up of hearing people saying he should have at least been on the bench. It's no good in being on the bench. We needed him to play, because it's not about, this is where people are getting it all wrong. It's not about him being able to score a goal or create a goal. It's like I say about Martial. He was the perfect player. We were playing in that Champions League final against one of the best teams that's ever walked this planet. and we needed somebody who we could hit with the ball, who could hold it, win a few free kicks, and also pass it back into the midfield and let us get up the field a bit. It was about giving the defence a breather. It was about getting us a foothold in the game and giving us more chance. It wasn't about he might be able to score a goal. If that can happen, or create a goal, if that can happen, that's a bonus. He should have been playing in that game. And when I say he should have been playing in that game, when people say to me he should have at least been on the bench, no good on the bench because there's no point bringing him on to try to... Because the idea is to stop them from scoring. That's what he should have been playing for. There's no point bringing him on to try to stop them from scoring when you're 2-0 down. He needed to play. He was a fantastic player.
There's a few people asking here. So Shukran has asked, is James better than Sancho, Rick? And Ab16 has said, at Football Philosophy, I've been checking your Twitter recently and I just wanted to ask, what were you trying to interpret when you showed a thread of Dan James whilst talking about Jadon Sancho?
I did a thread of Dan James
while talking about Sancho. You put a clip up, didn't you, recently of something that James did where he made a fantastic run and then got his head up, paid a great pass into Greenwood.
A simple pass, but a great pass.
But still, just that's the type of player that you want to see. You want to see that from your wide players. Yeah. And obviously you referenced Sancho in that tweet.
Yes, I did.
So it's not a thread, but you've referenced him in the same breath. So did you just elaborate on that?
All I said was, I said, I don't know how much the asking price is for Sancho at the minute. And everybody's talking about the signing a right winger, and Sancho's the one that most people talk about. And the figures last summer were being bandied about with around 120 million quid. Yeah. So, and I said in there, and I mean it hand on heart, it's going to have to be some player to be better than him. Was that a little bit tongue-in-cheek? I mean, I really do rate Dan James. It was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I've only seen Sancho a few times, but the way everybody talks about him, even if he's better, how much better can he be to go and spend 120 million quid? I know you want the best, but Dan James is that good or that decent. How much better can he be for 120 million quid? Forget that, 120 million quid. Yeah. Give the lad some more game time. Yeah. Let's see how he does tonight. He seems to be getting back in favour. I messaged one of my mates who didn't seem to grasp what I was talking about the other day. And if you look at the recent games, it seems that it's dawning on Ollie. And when I say dawning on him, think about it. He got a game against Real Sociedad away when he hadn't played in the previous 10. He was completely out of favour. The previous game he played was Watford in the Cup. He was completely out of favour. He played against Real Sociedad away, he scored. And whether it was the mere fact that he scored, because I think with Ollie, like it does with some of the fans on Twitter, I think they get impressed by people scoring. He scored. Had he not scored, he might have not kept his place, but he scored, and he kept him in for the next game, which was Newcastle. He scored again. And then 4 days after that, we played the second leg against Sociedad, bearing in mind that we're already 4-0 up. And he didn't play in that, and he brought Greenwood in. So to rest, and I'm using that word, not using that word lightly, is completely out of favour. Suddenly he just plays 2 games, and he didn't play against Real Sociedad in the second leg, but then did play against Chelsea on the Sunday. So he played 3 games out of 4 and didn't play in the game that we were already 4-0 up again, and Greenwood did. So it's like in the space of 2 weeks, he's suddenly the player...
He's gone from surplus to requirements
to the player who's getting rested. He was getting rested in a game that was completely irrelevant, really. And Greenwood was playing in the 1 game that was completely irrelevant, and he played in the 3 serious games. Yeah. And then we played Crystal Palace. Greenwood came back in against Crystal Palace, so I don't think Ollie was absolutely 100% sold. Do you know what I mean? But very nearly. But then against Crystal Palace, he brought Dan James on for 10 or 15 minutes, and most of the pundits were saying we were better when he came on. And then we played City, and James plays again. So in 6 games now, he's played in the 4 toughest of the games. It's like it's just dawned on him.
Yeah, BL Gamer in the chat, just on this, and it's dead quick. But I think it's important that these are squashed, these types of off the cuff comments that people come out with. So BL Gamer says Sancho is 20 times the player James is. That's just not the truth. It's just not. It's not possible.
No
is
point
it? How do you
saying
quantify it? It's ridiculous comment. But them types of things. they
He's
kind
not
of gather
20.
momentum.
He isn't 20 times the player Phil Jones is. Might be twice.
Yeah. There's a Jim Demp's. Hi Ricky, what do you think about fans saying McTominay can't pass? He always gets put in the same category as Fred, when in fact he's excellent on the ball. Jim Demp says.
Yeah.
I agree with Jim. I think he's fantastic on the ball, McTominay.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I think he obviously gives one or two away. I put a tweet up the other day about him trying to pass it to Dan James when Dan James was on the touchline, and I put it in I wrote on the thread. Or did I speak on it? I think I spoke on it. You see him look up and he sees Dan James coming towards him, and then as he looks to play the ball, he looks up again and Dan James is still coming towards him, and he plays it where he thinks Dan James is going to be, but Dan James, which he's perfectly entitled to, by the way, spins and goes to running behind. So McTominay plays it, and I'm sure to the average punter watching the game, they'll see that and go, "Oh, McTominay." But he'd give it exactly where he thought Dan James would be and where it looked like Dan James was going to be.
Yeah.
But he decided to spin and run in behind, and they just weren't on the same wavelength. I had one or two people say to me, Pogba would have put it over the top every time. And I said, what, even on the odd occasion where James doesn't spin and run in behind? Do you know what I mean? You can't just put it in behind every time, because he's not always going to do that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a guessing game, and you need to be on the same wavelength. And they need to work on that on the training ground. I said that in the thing. When Wan-Bissaka looks inside, I don't know how they could sort of know that they need some way of knowing that when maybe it should be that when their back four is within 15 yards or something, I'm always going to spin and run in behind and lift it over the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so that was one pass that a lot of people would have thought is a poor pass, and there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's purely and simply that Dan James decided to spin and go for the run in behind, and he runs that way just as he plays it, and he went out for a throw into City.
It's what we spoke about before. I think too many people look at the pass completion rates and the statistics.
Yeah.
To make that comparison of McTominay and Fred. But there's much more to it than that.
Much more.
Yes,
much
as we've said before, we've referenced this in the past. That's a quantitative analysis, and there isn't any data out there for qualitative. The eye test. You've got there's more to it than just the numbers. There's the quality of each.
The quality of the pass, yeah. McTominay's passes that are successful passes, on average, and this is only from the eye test, and there's no proof in this, and it's even arguable, but I'm saying what I see, and McTominay's passes are better than Fred's passes. If you pick 20 passes of Fred's that actually make the target, and 20 passes of McTominay's that actually make the target, McTominay's, on average, will be a bit more direct, a bit crisper, more often on the floor and not bobbly, and also into somebody's stride a bit more. He's just a better passer than the ball.
Quite simply put, not all completed passes are created equal.
Yeah.
And
correct.
Just as not all incomplete passes are created equal.
Yes. Yeah. Fred gives it away more often than McTominay when it's easy and there's no reason to miss it, which he does a few times.
Ryan Tooley says Titus Bramble's passes are better than Fred's.
Titus Bramble.
Josh Harper. Rick, how do you differentiate between tidy players and exceptional United level players? For example, I think Lallana is a very tidy player, but he's not a United level player, at least not these days.
Yeah, probably not these days, but at his best he was. At his best he was. It's football's a fantastic sport. It's a team sport, and you need your players to gel well together. They need to get to know each other, and there are certain players at different levels to other players. And if Lallana was playing in a good team with good players, you'd see it'd be more obvious how good he is. And I know he's I don't know how old he is, but I know he's in the twilight of his career, isn't he? And Brighton play some great football, but they're not the best team in the world, are they? Even now today, Lallana would look a bit better if he was playing for City. If Lallana was playing for City tomorrow, I don't think you'd think, well, he's no good. Why is he playing for City?
No, he'd slot right in now.
He'd slot right in, yeah. He'd slot right in, but there's no point in him buying him and slotting him in because he's in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not too dissimilar to what we're. Obviously, other than the age thing, Van der Beek at the moment, he's one of those types of players. Isn't he? He's a really tidy player.
Yeah.
I suppose we're yet to see if he's a real United top quality player.
Yeah, because he's not played in the team often enough.
We've not seen him enough.
Yeah,
He is a top player.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
But yeah, we need to see some more of him before we can decide whether or not he's
he's injured now, isn't he? I don't know where he's got that injury from. Dying to see him play a bit more before the season's over.
Yeah. Ricky, why do you like tall players like Mourinho? Says Rick the Red USA.
They have look. There's an old saying it's not just in football. There's an old saying in sport, and it really is a very, very old saying. And the old saying goes that a good big one will always beat a good little one, and all that means is obviously you've got to have similar ability. But if you've got two players of similar ability, and this counts for almost any sport you can think of, if you've got
not horse racing,
maybe not horse racing, you know what I mean. But if you've got two players of similar ability, usually the bigger one's normally stronger. You know what I mean, and the bigger one is normally a better player than the little one if he's got similar abilities. Simple as that. And I think if they played against each other, look at it that way. If they played against each other, I don't think Fred would often take the ball off McTominay, and I don't think he'd often take the ball off Matic. But I think they'd stop him quite easily if he was running at them.
In other sports, they're not allowed to compete against each other.
Yeah, they wouldn't be, yeah. If they were boxers, they won't be allowed to compete against each other. McTominay and Matic could compete with each other, but Fred won't be allowed.
Cosmo has put, good evening Ricky and assistant, what approach would you take to this game? Go for the kill or play more conservative and try and nick a goal?
In between the two. I won't play really conservative and just trying to nick one goal, but when you say go for the kill, it depends what you mean. You can't throw the kitchen sink at it, so to speak, can you? I think we've just got to play a steady game. We've got Martial up top, we've got Greenwood and Dan James, we've got Matic. I think James will be on the left. It's a pity Luke Shaw's not playing. It really is. I'd like to see Luke Shaw linking up with Dan James. But with Matic, he's passing to Telles and James. I think we've got a chance of getting in behind and getting a couple of goals.
Yeah.
So I think we're capable of getting a couple. But a couple would be great. A 2-0 win would be absolutely fantastic. So when you say, I can't remember what phrase you used, but basically go gung-ho at it, we can't do that.
Yeah. It's almost like the same philosophy goes regardless of the game. It's always set up solid so you don't concede goals.
Yes.
Be conservative in possession, but then go for the kill when the opportunity presents itself.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Be incisive.
That. Exactly that.
So you always want to have the ability to do all of those things all the time.
Yeah. McTominay and Matic, eh?
I know. Looking forward to
I hope it goes well. I do
Look,
believe it's got more chance of going well, by the way, because I know Greenwood has been improving with his defensive style, and also Dan James is a natural. So I do think it's got more chance of going well tonight than it did last time.
Kakaroach 18 says, "Hey Rick, what did you make of Wayne Rooney as a player? Does he remind you of Bruno?"
Yeah, no, I can see that comparison. Yeah, Wayne used to try a bit too many fancy things or long things, but at his best, Wayne Rooney, he was fantastic, wasn't he? When you see the goals that he scores now, if you watch MUTV, some of the goals that he scored for us were absolutely unbelievable. And he's United's all-time leading scorer. He's England's all-time leading scorer. When I watched him play, he did remind me of Bruno in that he tried a few too many things like that. And if I was to pick my all-time favourite United 11, he probably won't be in my best 3-11s. I really mean that, but he is the top scorer in it, so he's going to be in a lot of people's 11s. But he was a good player for United.
Paul Aaron says, Ricky, an assistant, have you noticed how Bruno gets dribble past so easily when he presses?
Yeah, I have. He runs too quickly at the opponent. Fred's a culprit for it as well at times.
Yeah.
I know Fred wins it a lot more often. Well, I think he wins it a lot. I'd like to see the stats. I think he wins it more often than Bruno. But he is a culprit for Bruno runs at him. And
it's a lack of intelligence, that. It's a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of intelligence. You've got to realise that the priority is to stop them progressing.
Yeah.
So you have to calculate where they're most likely to progress.
Yeah.
Position yourself there first and foremost, and then kind of encroach from that position. So you've done you've completed the first objective. Stop them from progressing. Get yourself in possession, and then close down if it's appropriate, and then just jockey them and keep them going where they're going. Whereas if you just go steaming in, you're going to get skipped past time and time again.
Walk past you. Walk past you.
Yeah, it's not intelligent play, is it?
No.
Ajit says, Ricky, James, Matic, Marshall are good because we bought them. That's why we need to buy players to make a better team to compete with City. We don't. Obviously, we also buy some not so clever ones, don't we? At the same time.
Yeah. Who did he say? James, Matic, and Marshall. Yeah, I think they're all good players. I think they're all capable of competing with any team if they were in your line-up. But you need all good players like that. We also bought Fred, and I'm not absolutely over the moon with Fred. He does a good job work-wise, but I don't think he's good enough on the ball.
That's polite. I'm distraught with
distraught with him. Greenwood's, Greenwood's come through the ranks, hasn't he? This young lad, I was about to say, Ahmad, how much should we give for him, mate? 30 million quid or something?
It's like in instalments, isn't it? But I think it goes up to like 40 million euros or something.
A lot of money for a young lad like that. So, there's a lad who's only as old as kids who we might bring through, who are hoping to be knocking on the door, and yet we'd give all that money for him. So I'd love to see him get a bit of a run out tonight.
I think it's a huge gamble, all that, mate. Spending big money on young players.
Yeah, it's a massive gamble.
Huge gamble. If you look at the best sides in Europe, the average age is like 28, 29. Really, you should be aiming for.
Try and buy 23-year-olds and 24.
26, really. If you want 6 years, you've got 26 to 32. That's kind of the prime of a player's career.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Only be giving big money for players that are kind of.
They're good already.
Into that. They've already
24,
proved
25,
themselves at
26.
top level. They've graduated. They've done the full apprenticeship. That's where you are. While you're buying them so young, you're still taking a gamble.
Massive gamble.
Huge gamble. I hope it pays off. And he looks like he's got loads of ability, but I'm pretty sure you could
people will probably be clipping this now, but I promise you, I've not seen enough of Ahmad yet, but I've seen plenty of Mason Greenwood, and I wouldn't give that money for him. I really wouldn't if I was the manager of another club.
Yeah. Ab says, what were your overall thoughts on Lukaku when he was at United?
I liked him. I like big, strong players, as we just discussed. He's quick, he could score goals. It was levelled at him that he didn't score in the big games. Naturally, you score. All scorers.
It's being levelled at Bruno.
It's being levelled at Bruno now. All scorers score more against the smaller teams, because as a team, you score more against the smaller teams. All right, you'd like to get some goals out of them. But again, so long as the results go well, as I always say, it doesn't really matter who scores. For me, and look how Lukaku's doing now at Inter Milan as well. And I don't agree with all that. What I hear about Serie A being such a slow league and it's no good and all that, I really don't. And I just think Lukaku's a top player, and I think they have. I think they've worked hard on getting the combination working well between him and Lautaro Martinez as it is. And I just think he's a top player, and if we would have spent time working on him, I think we would have a top player now playing for us at centre forward. Martial could spend more time playing as a 10 or an 11.
Obviously, I've seen you not tirelessly, but you repeatedly said on Twitter that you don't agree with this Serie A being a farmers' league or what have you. You're in a bit of a no-lose situation tonight, because I really hope that we win 4 or 5-0.
Yeah, and then people will just say, "Oh, it's a farmers' league." Then, oh, good, yeah.
Ryan Tula, Rick, what's your favourite memory from a Milan United game?
Wow, that's a tough one, isn't it? My memory's not that great for him, to be honest. I mean, my most recent one was going to Cardiff to watch him in a pre-season game.
Yeah.
AC Milan.
There was only one.
The thing with AC Milan, we beat them. Look, when you get older, you'll know this. When you get older, your memory's better for years and years ago rather than more recent years. Do you know what I mean? And when I say years and years ago, I'm talking 30 years ago, and we didn't even play European football very often in them days, let alone. When did we play AC Milan? We beat them, didn't we? I think we beat him 3-0, didn't we?
I was just going to say that. Was it Rooney get 2? Is that one?
I can't remember. So I can't even remember my favourite memory for it. But I've done, when I speak about old times, I mean, I didn't even go to this game when I was a kid, but I mentioned right at the beginning of the show that it was a fantastic clash in 1969. So that's one of my favourite memories, even though my memory of it is only what I've seen on TV or on YouTube or whatever. A goal from Bobby Charlton in that game was an absolute thunderbolt laid on by George Best. So that's a memory, even though it's a game I wasn't at.
Robbie Stones had just put something there about height player. I've just skipped past that, about the agility being a factor, versus the height, that playoff.
Yeah.
I've just lost the comment now, actually.
Yeah.
He may have a point there. Sandro Bellini, hello Ricky, my friend. I'm AC Milan fan. Dalot starts left defender for us today. Do you see a future for him at United? Love from Italy. Sandro.
Hi Sandro. I like Dalot. I think he's a good player, and if he's playing left full, but left back, are he playing like a 5 at the back or a 3? Or a 4, I should say. Is it a 5 or a 4?
I've got the line up here, but it's tough to.
It's tough to work out. So he might be a left wing back. But I like Dalot either at right back. I also like him wide right of a 4-man midfield, 4-4-2, I suppose, or a wing back even. I think he crosses the ball really well, and he's an intelligent player. Stays on his feet. Doesn't make a lot of slide tackles like Wan-Bissaka, but I'm pleased with the way Wan-Bissaka's been coming on. But Dalot, I like him. I'd take him back without a doubt. He's on loan there, isn't he? Obviously, I was surprised that he was allowed to play when I found out. Apparently, that's the rules when you're on loan in Europe. I saw I read on Twitter. I don't know if that's the case. I was surprised when I found out that he was allowed to play. But I do like him. I would like him to come back. But I will say, Sandro, that if he's going to end up signing full time for AC Milan, I couldn't wish him to go to a bigger or better club. Let's put it that way.
WHW says, Haaland better than Martial, or just different types of player?
Obviously, Haaland's goal scoring record at the minute is absolutely phenomenal. So definitely different types of players. Definitely better at what he does. Not seen enough of him to say that he could play like Martial does with his back to goal, linking the play up. It's a real tricky one. If he signed for us tomorrow, would we create the chances for the type of goals that he scores? I'm not sure. Really not sure. It's a difficult one.
Richie Barrett says, Ricky, what's your favourite formation?
4-4-2. Or 4-4-1-1 if you like. I don't mind whichever way you call it. It's the same thing to me, because I like one of my strikers to drop back to help when we're under pressure to start with, but also looking for the ball in the midfield. So 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2.
JD, did you ever see one of Madrid's classic teams with Puskas, Di Stefano, etc.?
A little bit before my time. Yeah, I didn't see that. They were finished before I even started going to football. Dylan Heng, Ricky, thoughts on George Best? Oh man, fantastic. I had the pleasure to see George Best play a few times. I've got a few memories of George Best. I was at the game. There's a goal that you can see on YouTube against Chelsea in the League Cup at Old Trafford. I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't know how old I was. I must have only been 13 or something. Where he runs from his own half with the ball. And Chopper Harris, I mean, some of the tackles that used to go in football these days, you'd be getting a red card and you'd be up in court the next day if it was today. But Chopper Harris tries to side him down and he rides the tackle. It's beautiful to watch. The way he just rides the tackle and lets the ball run, and he goes round Peter Bonetti, slots it into the net, and it's just a fantastic goal. I was at the game when he scored against Sheffield United, where he beat about 4 men and put it in from a tight angle. I was at the game at Upton Park at West Ham, where he scored from the edge of the box. I saw George Best a few times and loved him.
Tough one here from Paul Irwin. Which AC Milan legend would you put in the current United squad to make us challenge for the title?
To make us challenge for the title?
If you could just pick one that would make the most drastic improvement to our outfit, who would it be?
Wow. where
How far back?
Really, you need to look where you need improving. But I'd sooner just look at how great the players were, and I'd toss a coin between. I see. I like some of the defenders as well. Maldini. I was just looking at the forwards then and the midfield players. I'd toss a coin between Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten.
Yeah.
You can't argue. You can't
argue that. 5:20.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Wrap up.
Yeah. Wrap up. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed that show tonight. If you have enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.